everyone, here we are on month 3 of our So What project for 2026. This is Hyperion. We are on April this month for month 3. I've got all my fabrics laid out and we're going to go through them so you know what to cut. And then once we get all of our cutting done, we are going to start by making flying geese. We sure do make a lot of flying geese this year. So good thing we have our flying geese ruler because that's going to make this project go a lot faster. So let's go through our cutting for this month. You are going to start with fabric 1 and you are going to cut fabric A, and fabric A you're going to cut 4 2.5-inch squares. Then you're going to go on to fabric B, or fabric 8, and letter B is going to be 16 3.25-inch squares. These squares are going to be part of the flying geese that we're going to start out with this month. Then you're going to go on to fabric 9. You're going to cut 2 different fabrics for this one. You're going to cut letter C, which is going to be 4 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangles, and 4 2.5 by 6.5-inch rectangles. Then you're going to go on to fabric 10. You're going to have fabric E, 4 2.5 by 8.5-inch rectangles, and for letter F, 2.5 by 10.5-inch rectangles. Now I have to move my ones. I only have so many. So now for fabric 11, ta-da, we're going to have for letter G, 4 2.5 by 12.5, and for letter H, 4 2.5 by 14.5. We're going to move our letter 1 over here for fabric 15. Then we have quite a few. For I, we're going to have 4 5.75-inch squares. That's going to line up with B to make our flying geese. So we're going to line up our 5 4.75-inch squares with our 16 3.25-inch squares to make those flying geese. And I'll demonstrate how to make one flying goose, and then you're going to make the rest. But we'll be in that in a second. Then for letter J, you're going to cut 4 4.25-inch squares. K is going to be 8 2.25-inch or 2.5-inch by 4.5-inch rectangles. L will be 2.5 by 2.5-inch squares. Oh, so you have some cutting to do. And so get those cut, and then I'll show you how to do the flying geese. Now Bailey and I are going to make some flying geese. So I'm going to demonstrate how to make one flying goose, and you're actually going to make 4 sets of these. So you have 4 5.75-inch letter or number 15 letter I squares, and then you have 16 fabric 8 letter B squares. You're going to put 2 of your letter B squares on opposing corners of your fabric 15 letter I square. Now you're going to draw a diagonal line through both of those squares, going all the way through diagonally. Now you're going to sew 1/4 inch from that line that you drew on either side. You will trim that line right along that line and then press, get that out of the way. You're going to press your little fabric 8 squares up on both of those, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to do the next part. Right, so go and stitch those, and we'll be right back and I'll show you the part 2. I have both of those cut and pressed. Now I'm going to take 2 more little squares. Okay, pull those apart. These are my 3.25-inch squares. I'm going to lay them down in the corner of those. Now if I had all of them done, I would lay all of them on these little corners and take my ruler, draw a line diagonally, straight down, just like that. and stitch. Get over to my sewing machine and stitch 1/4 of an inch on either side of that line. I'm going to set those aside because I've done that. On this one, I've stitched 1/4 of an inch on either side of the line that I drew diagonally down. Then I'm going to come along and take my ruler and cut right there and go over and press this going up. And now it looks like a flying goose. And I have done that with a whole bunch of these over here. So what I do is I kind of take mine and I lay them out, and I'll put pretty many. I'm going to do like 6 at a time here, just like that. I lay a whole bunch of them out. Then I'm going to take my flying geese ruler, and we are making 2.5 by 4.5 inch flying geese. So we're going to look at letter D on our flying geese ruler. We're going to look at trim 1, and we're going to look at D. So we have a little dotted line here that looks like a mountain right now. It looks like a mountain in front of us that goes to letter D. I've placed all my little fabric flying geese in front of me so they look like mountains in front of me. I'm going to lay the D right on the stitching line on my flying goose with that little dotted line right along the seam line. I'm going to trim up and over. Those 2 lines on each little flying goose. Now I know what that looks like. I can just pick up my ruler, set it back down, and do the same thing on this one. And I do the same on each and every one. So I can clip through these pretty easily because now I know exactly what I'm looking for on my ruler. Instead of doing one at a time and flipping it up and then turning my ruler and finding my spot, now my eye is right on D and right on my little teepee or my little mountain. So I just pick it up, set it down. I don't have to keep looking for my spot. I don't have to keep finding my spot on my ruler. I can see it. My cutter's a little bit getting a little dull there. So when I get through that thick spot, I have to push a little bit harder there. Pick it up, set it down. Don't move your little piece after you do that. Hold it tight. The grippy stuff goes right up along the edge, right where you're cutting. And then there's other little grippies right along inside of the ruler as well to help the ruler to keep from sliding as you're cutting. So I cut all of those on the D. Then I kind of just move all of my scrap out of the way, turn these upside down so they look like the letter V, or I have a little valley in front of me. Swoop my little scraps out of the way as I go along. Get all those out of the way. Letter V or a valley in front of me. Now I flip my ruler so that I have trim 2. I'm going to follow letter D. So I have the little valley in front of me that follows letter D. I also have this little right angle that follows the 2 by 4. So this is going to go right along the edge that we already cut. And you can see that we have grippy stuff that goes all the way around our block. So this is going to hold it tight where we've already cut, and then it's going to hold tight right where we're going to cut. So I lay straight down so that the 2 by 4 goes all the way along the edge that we've already cut, and the little V or valley for the D goes right on the stitching line right where we stitched, and we're going to go and cut the right side and along the top. Ta-da! Beautiful! And now we're going to pick it up, put it down, and go all the way around this as well. Then I will just repeat with the next chunk, I was going to say, the next group of flying geese until I get all, how many are we doing? 16 of these I think we have. So I've already got 6 of these all done and trimmed. I'm going to finish up the ones that I kind of used to demonstrate and get them all cut. And in no time flat, I have 16 beautiful flying geese. So you're going to finish up all of your flying geese, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to show you the next step. This is a really exciting month. You're going to love this month because you're going to have a beautiful, beautiful big chunk of your quilt done by the time we're done this month. Get done with your flying geese and we'll get back and do the next step. You have all of your flying geese ready, so you have 16 of them. Now we're going to make these star blocks, and we're going to make 4 star blocks. So to do that, you're going to put 4, hello Bailey. Bailey's going to help make these star blocks as well. So you're going to put 4 flying geese blocks on each side. So make sure they look like stars. You're not going to turn them going this direction. Make sure they turn out so that they look like stars. In the center, you're going to have your number 15, which are your background fabrics. Number 15, letter J in the center. Letter A is going to go up in this right-hand corner. So there's going to be 4 of those up in the, or left-hand corner, I should say, over in the left-hand corner. And then in the other 3 corners, you're going to have your letter, your number 15, letter L's in the other 3 corners. You're going to start by sewing this row together, then this row, then this row. When you press, I would press toward the center and then towards the outside on the top and bottom rows. So let's go sew those, and then we'll talk about putting the 3 rows together. My star block, first 3 rows sewn together. I have the top row pressed to the outside, the center row pressed to the inside. And because we did such a great job, this is flipping around because I have my flying geese ruler under here. There we go. Because our flying geese are perfect, we don't have any of our points cut off on the inside here. So these are pressed to the inside, and then this final row is pressed to the outside. Now, because we've pressed to the inside on the center and to the outside on the top and bottom row, we're going to place these together, and these little seams here are going to nest. So we're going to sew this row and this row to the center and finish off our star block. I now have 4 of my star blocks done. And these are going to be called unit 1s, but we're not going to worry about numbering these because we're going to use them in just a few minutes. So I have my little fabric A block up in the left. All of these are sewn. When I pressed my top and bottom rows towards the center. And so they're all nice and ready to go. I'm going to set those aside because we don't need those right now. We have one more group of things to sew together, and then we're going to start sewing everything together. We're going to take our fabric 9, C, and D. So C is, C is your 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. You've got 4 of those. D, you've got 2.5 by 6.5 inch rectangles. You've got 4 of those. You're going to sew those to your number 15 Ks, and those are 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. So you're going to just sew those together end to end, and I would press these seams open. Alrighty, so you're going to do those first. Then you're going to sew fabric 10, E, and F, and E is 2.5 by 8.5, and F is 2.5 by 10.5. You have 4 of each of those, and you're going to sew those to your remaining 2.5 inch fabric L squares. So you're going to sew those end to the end of those, press those open, come back, and I'm going to show you what to do with them. Alrighty, girls, we are ready to do some big sewing together now. We've got everything all ready to go, and we're going to sew the whole center together. This is big excitement. Alrighty. So now, you know, they always, once we sew these, they kind of rename them. So you have your 2 shorter pieces, and then you have your 2 longer pieces. These 2 now become 3A and 3B. These 2 become 4A and 4B. All right, I'm going to move these kind of off of, I'm going to move these off of my board here so I can kind of set it up and show you what you're going to do. And then you're going to need your G and your H. So I'm going to set it all up on my board, and then I'm going to sew everything together. So I'm going to put my A's over here on the side. So my A3 is going to go first, and 4 is going to go second, and then my B's are going to go on the bottom. 3 will go first, 4 will go second. So I'm going to put those over there, and then G is going to go to the right, and H is going to go on the bottom. All right, that's how we're going to sew all of this together. So we have, so to go over that again, we have 3B, 4B, H, 3A, 3B, G. And then over here in the corner, we're going to have our star. So you will sew this piece on first. So 3A, flip it around, 3B, 4A, 4B, see how it's going together, G, and H. Doesn't all fit on my board. So I'm going to sew this on. I will probably press my seams open as I go along. So I'm going to sew all of those together. Look how big this is. I'm going to sew all of those together. Oops, get it in the frame for you. So this is 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B, G, and H, all in that order. So one, so the next, onward and so on, and then press as you go, and I'm pressing open as I go. You're going to have 4 of these when you're finished. It's getting big. It's getting big. Okie dokie. We're doing a lot this month, and it's getting big, and it's taking us a little time, but you're going to get there. So here we go. Well, here it is. Here's your finished block. Oh, Bailey's playing. She's throwing bobbins on our work spot. Okay, so this is your finished block, but now you're still not done. I know. Are you really excited? Now this is the part where you're going to pull some pieces from the last 2 months and put everything all together. This is not even going to fit onto my board to show you what we're going to do, but I think we're going to be able to do it. I'm going to slide this up, and I'm going to put 2 more bobbins up here to keep Bailey occupied, except they're not going to fit. Go on up there. I put them on my little spool holder. It's a game we play. I put my empty bobbins on the spool holder, and Bailey works at popping them off the spool holder, and then she plays with them. So, okay, so we're going to put them just like the picture shows, and you're going to sew everything together. So these are your black 4s from last month that you sewed together. So you're going to add those to the center. This is so exciting. You're going to have the whole middle of your quilt sewn together here. So you can see how it's going to go. I think you're going to get this. You're going to sew that here. You're going to flip this guy over. Now these little blocks these little A blocks go to the center of your quilt. Okay, and these, your kind of log cabin blocks, go to the outside. So make sure you have everything go in the right direction. This little, I don't know, it looks like a little bud, like a flower bud to me. So that kind of goes to the center as well. And I don't even have enough space here. So that's all going to go to the center. See how that's going to go? And then this, remember this from your first month? That's going to go in the center. So see how all of that's going to go together? So I'm not even going to come back when we're all done here, but you're going to sew all that together. These are going to go on the bottom because this isn't even going to fit in our screen. You saw it in class, and it is gorgeous. I hope yours turns out really well. So I'm going to sew these together, and I'm going to sew these together and then the bottoms together. Yeah, Bailey, what do you think? Pressing wise, I think this is one of those things where you are going to have to listen to what the blocks tell you. I would like to press these open, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think you just have to listen to the blocks and listen to what they tell you to do and go for it that way. I think from the center perspective, I think going out away from the center is going to be the way to go there. And I probably pressing away, Bailey, pressing, I don't know, pressing toward towards the center in the top, away from the center in the middle, and then towards the center in the bottom is probably the way it's going to go. But again, like I said, listen to the blocks. They usually tell you how to be pressed. This is going to be fun. Nothing really matches up. Nothing matches up. You're just going to watch your points. And because you used your Ultimate Flying Geese ruler, none of your points should be cut off. And it's going to be amazing. Remember to keep your little A blocks towards the center and your log cabin blocks towards the outside. Remember to keep the little buds towards the center and the flying geese towards the outside. And I think that's the only little trick I can tell you. I can't wait to see your blocks next month. They're going to be big, and the center of your quilt is going to be ready to go. Big excitement. And then who knows where we're going to go from there. So I will see you next month in May at our So What block of the month, the third Monday in May. Have fun with this. I hope it's all coming out well. If you have any questions, you know how to get me. You know what to how to ask, how to reach out to me if you have any questions. So just holler if you need anything. Stop in the store. We're always happy to help you. And have fun with this. And we will see you soon.